Hey, Steve Basic Architect. Yeah, welcome back. We're inside the studio. Got a couple photos here of Rainscreen systems. Now, today's topic, closed joint versus open joint. So, closed joint, pretty simple. We have a whole series of lap siding here. And notice, I can't see into the wall. There is a drainage space, there is a ventilation space, and that can drain out the bottom and it can ventilate up through there. But pretty much wherever I have the siding, this is a closed system, right? Meaning I don't get any lateral air movement across that system. It's all vertical and it's happening behind, which provides me with a very good amount of drying potential. It is arguably lessens the wetting potential because everything is dripping here in a shingle fashion from the lap siding, right? They're properly lapped. But believe it or not, moisture and water does find its way up into those joints. Not a lot, but when the wind blows, pressure differences. Remember, what's the three things I need for a leak? I need water, I need a hole, and I need a pressure difference. And if I have those three things, then I have the potential for a leak. So, by having that space behind, should I push water in, it has the ability to drain, and if it's a little bit of water, then maybe I am simply just drying out that system there, right? So that's a closed system. Let's take a look at an open system. So this one here, you can see this is a inside corner, but notice we have joints there. There's actually vertical joints behind the window trim. You can see it actually on this side here. So basically these boards are suspended, right? The nails are sticking out only because they put them in, they had little spacers, the builder, and they wanted to get the boards just right. And then once everything is right, then they'll come down and they'll set all those nails appropriately and flush, and probably the same person doing it, because it really takes a touch to get that just right. But the difference between the previous system and this one that we'll call an open system, right? The fact that it's open means that not only do I have draining behind and drying behind, I also have lateral drying, right? Basically, its system is wide open to let air in. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're probably sitting there saying, well, Steve, aren't you letting a whole lot of water in? Yeah, I'm probably letting a little water in. You'd be surprised at how little water did get in there. But if it does, why do I care? I've maximized my drying potential on this wall system, right? I mean, pretty much every one of these boards on all 6 sides are seeing the same environment, right? Meaning that they have the potential to dry. Not any one of those 6 sides is any wetter than the other, right? So I have very high drying potential. I call your attention to, remember before we had kilns, how we would dry wood. We'd put it on a set of sticks and we would let it air dry out in the yard. Well, what am I doing here? I have a bunch of wood set on a set of sticks, furring strips underneath that, and just basically let them dry perpetually, right? So they become very, very stable. All right, so let's take another look at another open system. So you can see there's our furring strips there and our black paper. We've talked about that before. Now, the difference between the last open joint and this one, the last open joint was Alaskan yellow cedar, a very expensive finish. This here are spruce boards. Now, this is a very affordable project, tight budget. It was still a passive house, and it is in fact a certified passive house. But we wanted to use an inexpensive siding, and talking with the builder, we can get these spruce boards pretty darn cheap to use on the outside. Now, I know what you're thinking, spruce boards, these things are going to warp, they're going to twist, they're going to cup, they're going to move all over the place. Yeah, maybe in the right situation, they will. Now remember, spruce board or any board, if I add water to the top, then that board is going to want to expand, right? It's going to shrink where it's dry and it's going to expand where it's wet. And the important thing there is to notice that if I can keep all 6 sides of the board relatively the same, then I create a real stable environment for that board, right? So putting it on furring strips and having that drying and draining space down below that board creates an environment for that for those boards to really be in a very, very stable environment. So we put these boards up. Now, I will admit I was a little concerned, and the builder too, that the science worked. We use these spruce boards. We're going to put them on furring strips. They should be really stable. But we still wanted to have a plan, right? So notice there's a joint along the boards here. So on this house, no place do we have boards that exceed 8 feet in length. We have a bunch of predetermined joints that aligned with some doors and windows and such, that we could take any one board, you pick it, and we can pop it off of the wall and replace it without interrupting any other part of the system. All of these boards are nothing more than a surface mounted skin, and the skin is not continuous, it's in these individual board pieces. So the truth is, the house has been up for, I don't know, probably about 8 or 9 years now. I've driven by it a number of times. I've taken photos. Not one board has been replaced. Not one board has moved in an irrational or erratic type fashion. So it's holding up extremely well. The house is doing very well, aging very well. The homeowners have since put a PV array on, and not only is it a certified passive house, but it is Zero Energy Plus because it's making them money and selling back the electricity. So I know it doesn't work, the math doesn't work everywhere in the country, but here in New England, we have extremely high electrical rates. PV panels make sense. So anyways, hopefully you enjoyed that. Rainscreen Systems. Until next time, you know it. Long live our buildings.